Have you always wanted to understand and play synths? If so, then you've found the right place. This is the first in a short series of videos explaining the fundamentals of synthesizers and doing so in a way that a guitarist like me might be able to relate to. So for the longest time, I've put this day off. Wanted to learn how to play synth and understand synth for about 10 years. Bought every pedal I could find that would make my guitar sound like a synth pedal. And I've just caved in because I'm going to regret it if I never learn how to play synth or at least understand it better. As I know nothing, as a guitar boy, I've invited a guy around that knows what he's doing and he's going to teach me and maybe you what a synth is all about.
So we've set a basic sound wave, which is basically going from your programs to a waveform.
So it's like a blank canvas now.
Blank canvas, yeah. So you've literally
no
just
effects,
got
no settings.
Nothing at all. So this is your C string on your guitar playing through a clean mic.
Yeah.
And that's the start of the process. So that's the start. So that is your voltage control oscillator, VCO1. So that is your first
voltage control oscillator.
Yeah. So that is your first guitar if you're going to think of it as a guitarist.
Right.
So basically, and it's running from sort of this side going across that way.
It's just left to right.
Yeah. And so to start with, you've got your wave selector here. So at the moment it's set as a triangle wave. I know sawtooth that is, which is that top one. So that's your sawtooth sound wave, which is quite a reedy sound. And then you've got your triangle wave, which is less harsh. And then that is your square wave. Then this next section here is basically just changing the octaves. So if you start, it'll be a 4-octave selector.
Okay.
Simple.
So octave's pretty straightforward. Your sine wave there.
And your waves are pretty straightforward. So if you're starting off, I mean, as you get used to playing with the sounds, you'll know which one to start with. Now the pitch control. So you're moving along. Pitch control.
What's VCO again?
Voltage control oscillator.
Right. So that's just the signal, basically.
Yeah, that's basically your guitar.
Right.
Yeah. So you clean open string guitar.
Okay.
Right. Now pitch, that will enable you to. I don't know how far it goes, but I'm assuming it's an octave either way. And then basically on here it'll tell you how many cents. How many cents that you go in either side of you. It's a really handy little tool actually, because when you use two, you can create a sort of phasing effect when you're messing around with pitch.
We'll get to that then.
Yeah, we'll get to that in the future. That's quite straightforward so far, yeah.
So where do we go next? Is it the VCO2?
Right. Well,
is that not where you go next?
You can do. So basically, that's guitar 1, VCO1, guitar 2. So it's like adding a second instrument. Now to get your second instrument to play, you use your mixer here. So at the moment, VCO1.
So that mixer that's mixing those two.
At the moment, that mixer. So I've only got VCO1 playing through. Now, so you start again. You can select your wave pattern, your octave, and then your pitch. So, but to bring in, so if I was to bring in the same, and then you bring in so basically an octave higher on the same waveform, and you bring it in. So it gives you a slightly thicker sounding. Now this is where it gets really funky with the pitch. So this is what I was saying earlier. If you just play with the pitch a little bit, so take it down, say, it gives it that sort of phasing sound. So if you want to give it your sound a phase, it speeds up. Obviously, the more out of tune you go, then you can harmonise it. So, for instance, if you put the square, it'll give a different.
Oh yeah. So what we're saying is, these are your instruments.
Yeah. And you're basically
Voltage control oscillator with your line in. You're picking which wave for each one.
Yeah.
Your octave for each one. And then you're just mixing in how much of each one. You're blending in how much of each one you've got.
Yeah.